Hey there, how's it going? Today I want to go over a GE dryer that the complaint was that it wasn't heating, it was running. And if you ever worked on one of these types before, it's really a pain and it's difficult to get to that heating element. It's way back behind the drum. The terminals are at the bottom. It's not really advisable to sit there and take the whole thing apart just to see if you have a good heating element or good safety or a thermal fuse. Here I'm just kind of pulling it up here on the parts breakdown, kind of just you can kind of see what's going on as far as the setup on that. But all my connections I'm going to check are right here at the back of these relays. Each one of them is the 120 volts in, and the other one comes out for the inner and the outer coil. So the test I'm going to do is I'm going to check both the inner and outer coil. I'm also going to run a test here to make sure that I have a continuity all the way from line 1 up to these relays. And I went ahead and checked both of them. Even that the other one actually will cut the blower motor, but I'm back there. I'm just checking everything just for practice. And also what I'm going to do, I'm going to also check it through that centrifugal switch. Again, I'm going to rotate that manually to manually close it. And I should get a reading on each of those coils for that inner and that outer coil. I'm going to show it here in a minute. They both have around 21 to 22 ohms, somewhere in there. Each one's, they're pretty identical. I'll pull it up here in a minute. So I was basically drawing this up while I was in front of the customer's house, but this is really just to show what I like to try to do is work smarter, not harder, because you can actually take this thing apart and it's just time consuming. But those are the numbers right here for the coil. I'm going to go ahead and spin it by hand. I'm going to connect one of my terminals to the lead and one of them to the neutral. The other one's going to come off of that relay, and there it goes right there. Numbers don't lie. That's it. So that tells me that that coil is good. So I'm going to go ahead and check the other coil. Same thing. I'm going to rotate it. I should get that same value again. There it goes. So I know I have a good centrifugal switch again, and the coil's good all the way back to that line 2. So everything checked out here. You know, I checked my 240 volts. I have good power coming in. All the safeties checked out. I know the centrifugal switch is closing. So what I want to do now is check on these and see if I'm getting 120 volts coming from one side of the relay going into the other side, delivering power to the coil. So what I noticed though, I found what was like an intermittent problem. It would sometimes send power to it and sometimes it wouldn't. And I had to catch that because at first it didn't do it. But here I'm kind of just going double checking. So this turned out to be one of those situations where there was a intermittent problem and more than likely bad contacts inside the relay. So definitely would have been frustrating for anybody to take this apart and check everything inside, put it back together, because the board, it's relatively expensive and you can end up spending a lot of time taking something like this apart and then just to present it to the customer, and it's going to be a non-cost effective repair. So definitely it's one of those situations where you want to work smarter and not harder and try to check everything as best you can without disassembly.